Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to perform analysis on the car dataset. We are going to see if we can be able to discover something from the data. So I have a video showing you how to import the dataset, the car dataset, into the database. So the first question will be, we want to view the dataset that we are going to use in this case. So we are going to write a simple query, which is select all from the car dataset. We are going to use the car data. That is the name that I gave the table that is containing this data set. So after this, what I need just to click is F5 to execute the query. So this is the first query. You are able to see the data at the bottom. This is the pane that is showing us the console that is showing us the data. So we see number one, we have the car name. So we have the year of the car, present price, kilometer driven, fuel type, seller type, transmission, owner, and selling price. So that is the first question. So that was the first thing that you need to do, is to just view the data. You try to see if you have the data that you need to proceed to the next stage of performing the analysis. So now question one will be, we want to see the total number of cars in the data set. This is the next question. So what we are going to do, we'll be counting all the cars from this data. So we want to see we have how many loads in this case. So it's a simple query. We are going to select, we're going to use count because we'll be counting. Then we're counting all. Then what we need to do in this case, we need to give this the output of this query. We give it an alias name. So we say as total cars. Then where will we be getting this from? We enter to the next line. We'll be getting this from car data. From car data. Something like that. Then I click F5 to see the result. You want to see the total number of cars in the data set. So you see the total cars is the alias name that we gave the output. So like output to be total cars is equals to 100,000. So the total number of cars in this case is 100,000. So we are done with question one. Question two, we want to see the number of cars by fuel type. This is the next question. So this one is also very simple. So because we want to see the number of cars by fuel type. So in this case, we'll be selecting fuel type and also from the car data set, and then we'll be counting because it is the numbers of cars in this case. So we'll be using the select. Then the fuel type is a we see their text, so we are going to type fuel type underscore type. Make sure you look at the spelling of the word, because if you make any error when it comes to typing it, you'll not be getting the result. So what we'll be doing in this case, we'll be selecting fuel type. Then we want to count this fuel type, the cars that are using, like how many cars are, for example, using like petrol, how many cars are using diesels, how many cars are using CNG in this case. So we are counting fuel type, then we give it an alias, like in this case is as, we want to see the result to be as count in this case. Then we'll be getting this from car data. That is definitely what we expect. Then the other thing we can do is to group by. We'll be grouping by fuel type. Don't forget that. We'll be grouping by fuel underscore type. So the result of this one will show us, will give us the number of cars by fuel type in this case. So it's just a simple query in this case, and then I click on F5. So in this case, we're able to see the result, which is very simple or very clean. In this case, you're able to see like what is coming out clearly. The total number of cars using diesels is 20,000. The number of cars using petrol is 78,000. Number of cars using CNG is 685. So what we're able to see in this case, you have a table which is showing you the total result. In this case, if you needed some kind of insights, you are able to make a conclusion in this case, because most of the majority of cars in this case are using petrol. If, for example, the best thing I like using PostgreSQL is that I can visualize my result in this case. For example, if I want to create a bar chart, in this case, what I want to see on the x-axis, for example, maybe it is a fuel type. On the y-axis, I would like to see account, something like that, and then I generate the result. So should be expecting to see the results in a moment. Generate the results. I know why it's taking time to display this one. Maybe you can start with a line short and then click generate. Oh, it's not really giving me the result that I want. I don't know why, but I can redo it again. I've said I want a bar chart. Well, even I can use a pie chart in this case. Then on the label, it's a fuel type. On the value, I want to see, for example, the count. Oh, it is here. It is somehow hidden. Sorry for that. Yeah, you're able to see the result. In this case, I think the problem was me. I think the best thing would be using a bar chart. It will give us a little good figure. So you're able to see the diesel, petrol, and CNG. They are bit something somehow fixed, but that's not meaning that you can rely on this one. So maybe it's what I would maybe suggest in this case, because you already have this data, you can download the data in this case, and then you open it using, for example, an Excel. Let's just show you. So you come here, you have the result for this one. So it's a data set, you have these as a result. So in this case, we've wanted to create something like a chart. You can come to Excel, you say insert. In this case, for example, like to use the initial. For example, that one be giving us that one. If it's a bar chart, you can all decide what to use, and you try to prepare your data in this case, and you try to prepare your results. So it's something which is a bit easier to use the PostgreSQL. So we are done with question 2. We are now moving to question 3, where we want to see the average selling price by the year. So in this case, we'll be dealing with selling price and also the year in this case. So what we have concluded is that there are 3 fuel type. We have diesel, petrol, and CNG. And then the dominant is petrol. So most cars are using petrol. So the other question is the average selling price by what we are calling the year. In this case, we are going to select. We'll start by selecting. We want to select number 1. We'll be selecting year. Sorry. So it should be inside here. We'll be selecting year. Then you're selecting year. What we want to see, I want to see the average selling price, but now I'll also supposed to select the selling price, but I will like to add something, like I would like to add something like we're calling it round off, because I want to see the results into 2 decimal places. So I'll use what we are calling the loud. Then I enter. I want to see the average. It is the average selling price. That was the question. Definitely the question is average, sorry. The average selling price, then into bracket. Now I can select the variable that I want. It's the selling underscore price. So that is what I want to see. I want to see the average selling price. Then after the first bracket, I put a comma and then 2, which meaning I want to see the result into 2 decimal places. But also the result of this selling price, I want it to be displayed as what, as what we are calling avg underscore selling underscore price. That will be the output that I'll be seeing. It will be under average selling price, but also we'll have another column for year. So we are done with that one. What I need now, where will we be getting this data from? I have to enter from, don't forget, is car data. Then I need to enter to the next line, also car data, something like that. What we'll be doing, I'll be grouping this result by year. So don't forget, because we want to group everything by year, and we see which year had the highest, all the maximum selling price, the minimum selling price in this case. So I have to enter year. I have to also to order. So order by year also in this case. And we are done. In this case, you just need to enter semicolon after that, and then you click F5. You're supposed to see these results. Good. Everything is working well, as we're able to see. Don't forget to see or to go through the query that I've written. So if you are interested into learning database, or you're interested to understand how to analyze your data using database to perform these simple descriptive statistics, say I have a course that I can really take you through from the beginner. You see, these are things that if you're a beginner, it's not easy for you to catch up very well. But if you're starting, there is a course which is structured in a way that you start from the beginner. You start by understanding why do we need to use select, why do you need to use asterisk, what does mean from, what does from mean, what does group by, order by, when do we use them in this case. So what you're able to see in these results, we can also visualize this. For example, if visualization is what will make you understand the results well, this is the best thing that you can do in this case. Let's just try to push this up, so we are able to see something like that. So from this line chart, you are able to understand like the average selling price, like in year 2004, like there seems to be the had a high average selling price, like 10,772 US dollars. So in this case, I have to investigate this data in 2004 because I don't understand if there is a potential outliers in the data or why there is major shift in the car selling price. From there, 2004, you can see there is a drop. 2008, the car started rising up. 2011. So as you can see, up to 2015, the average selling price went up again, and then from there it has been a bit constant apart from 2018 where the car prices was the highest. So these are some of the insights which you are supposed maybe to document at the end, and it is very easy for you to discover them using the pgAdmin or the database that you are using. So we are done with that question. We are now at question 4. Question 4, we want to see top 5 most expensive cars by present price. So this is what now we want to see, the most expensive cars by the selling price. So in this case, we will be selecting the present price in this case, and also the car name, because we want to see the most expensive car. So in this case, we'll be selecting, I'll be selecting what? I'll be selecting car. It's a car name. Make sure you look at the spelling of that car name, because if you make any mistake, you will not be getting the correct result, the present price. Then I have to select those two columns. Then I'll be selecting them from where? That is the next question you ask yourself. You select them from the car database or from the car table. It's from the car table. So the next one is like you want to order this by what you're calling the present price. You want to see like from the smallest to from the minimum to the highest or maximum price. In this case, we'll be using what we call the ordering. We'll be ordering by the present price, something like that. But also you'll be ordering in descending order. In this case, just enter a semicolon and click F5. You are supposed to see the results in this case. Good. So now what we are able to see in this case, there is another query that you can add here. For example, you wanted to see the top 5. You just come here and push enter and use remit. In this case, remit to 5. You are interested just to see the top 5 car in this case, but in our case we are using a descending order. We want to see them, all the cars we have in the database. So I will run this again. So there is that question that will come up when we'll be interested to see in terms of top 5. So you see in terms of the maximum and the list price, what you're able to see in this case, we are starting from the list is Fortuner, which is going at 12,731 US dollars. As you go down, you're able to see Innova as 12,717. You see CT cars, all these type of cars up to the last one. I hope the last one will be the big data. So that's why I say if you want to limit, you can limit this to, for example, maybe what we're saying, like maybe 20 cars, something like that. But you have these insights. So this is something that now you can download this data into Excel and perform simple analysis, something like that. We are done with that question. So the next question would be, how many cars were sold by dealers versus individuals? So this is the next question. This is a simple one. So we want to compare the two. We'll be selecting what? The seller type. That is the first question. We want to select we'll be selecting the seller type. We'll be selecting the seller type because the seller type can either be individual or what we are calling them the dealers. So the seller type, then count, we'll be counting them. We'll be counting all. Then as what we want to see this as 30. That's the alias name that we'll be giving them. Then we'll be selecting them from what we are calling the car data. That is the table that is having the data. Then we'll be grouping. I want to group by what we are calling the seller type. So we'll be grouping by other skill, what you're calling the seller type, and then we are done. Just simple like that. Just simple like that. What we are doing is just, well, we are doing what we call we are selecting the seller type, because the seller type can either be dealer or individual. Then we are counting them as, and then the output will be under this column total, which will be showing us the seller type and then the total number of cars the seller type has sold. In this case, we are getting this from the car data, which is the table having the data and then the grouping by. So what you need to get into is to understand when do we use the group by, order by, and then the rest will just follow. So in this case, I click F5 to see the output. Who is making the most sales in this? This is like the question that I'm expecting to get. So in this case, you can see individual. The total number of cars they have managed to sell is 34,385. Dealer is 65,615. These are the cars under these individuals. That's why we had the total of 1,000 cars. I had 1,000 cars in this case. So I think that question is answered. The next question now will be count of cars by transmission type. That is the next question. So in this question, you'll be selecting transmission, and then we'll be storing it, the result of it. We'll giving it a name as alias as total, or maybe another name. And then what we'll be doing in this case, we'll be grouping by transmission. It's almost same to this. No difference with this one. So I can copy the code. I come here, I paste it here, but now I'll be selecting what? Transmission. I'll be selecting transmission. Hope I will not miss the spelling. Transmission as total, this one, and then here the same transmission. So I can copy this transmission, and then I come here, I paste transmission, and then I click F5. Just simple like that. Expecting to see the result. Here also you can see the result. The count of car by transmission type, we have manual and automatic, and most of the car, majority of cars in this case are manual. 85,000, 86,000 manual. Automatic, they're just 1,300. So the next question will be cars with over 100 kilometers driven. So this is an important question, because you want to buy a car, this is something that you put into consideration. So in this case, I want to see the cars with over 100 kilometers driven. So I'll be selecting the car name, the kilometer driven, and maybe also the year. I want to see the year, and maybe even the present price of this car. So in this case, what we'll be doing is select what we are calling the car name. Sorry, we'll be selecting the car name. That is the first thing I want to select. The next thing I want to select is what we are calling the kilometers driven. Don't forget to check how the spelling of that column is in the database. So the other thing is, maybe what will be interested to see is the present price, and in terms of kilometer driven. Those are the columns that I want to see in the data. Then I'll be selecting all these from, it's not case sensitive. I can decide to use small or capital, but I just want to use capital letters from car data. So now I'll be selecting all this column from car data, but now I want to put a computation where I'll define a condition where kilometer driven is greater than 100,000. So I'll say where now in this case is kilometer underscore driven should be greater than what we are calling 100. Should be 100,000. Yep. And then I have to order this result by, I'll be ordering by what you are calling the kilometer driven. So I'll be ordering by this. So I just need to copy this one instead of typing it again. I put it there, kilometer driven, and then I want to sort this in terms of descending. So just say descending order, and then a semicolon, and then I click F5. So this should give me the final result. Good. We're able to see now the result is that we are selecting the car, the kilometer driven, the year of that car, and the present price. How are they selling that car currently? So then what we are doing here, we are putting a condition here: kilometer driven is greater than 100,000, and then we are ordering by the kilometer driven in descending order. So we're starting from the smallest to the highest. So you can see Activa, the least, and the one with the highest number of kilometer driven, like 541. So as you go down, is the number is decreasing. Like we are starting from the highest to the smallest in terms of kilometer driven, as you can see. I think they are all mostly active. We have what we are calling Hoda Charisma. So we think Activa 3G, Hoda Charisma, we have Innova 19, we're almost coming out to 100. 19. So what I was saying now, if you want to go deeper into this data that you have already developed about the car with over 100 kilometer driven, you can just export this into Excel and perform your own analysis. Also, something else I would like to mention, it is now also possible for you to connect this data to your programming language like Python or even R or even Power BI or Tableau. That will be the next thing that will be creating. In this case, will be creating a program on how you can work with you can get data from Cargo, you connect to PostgreSQL, and then you connect to R, and then we create a project using Shiny. We create a dashboard using Shiny, because mostly that is what I use in where I really work. So this is something that I would like to create to be the next video for my case. So question number 8 is cars with the selling price higher than present price. That's a good question. Car with the selling price higher than the present price. So maybe I don't expect to see to have find the result here, because we want to see like the car with the selling price higher than the present price. Like this car, the selling price is higher than the present price. I don't think we'll have this result, but let's just try. We're going to say, because from the question itself, maybe unless it is the other way, but for this one, I don't expect to see something like this. But what I'll be doing here, I'll be selecting all from car data, then next line I'll be defining a condition where, because I want to see where, sure, it should be where the selling price, you have to define that, where the selling underscore price is greater than the present price. Just simple like that, underscore price. So that is the question that I'll be dealing with, and then I click F5. So nothing else you expect to see in this case. Good, we're able to see like there is no result here, because I don't expect to have car which is having the higher selling price than the present price. So maybe it should be the opposite. I can change this to be less than. So the selling price is less than the present price. For this one, I'm expecting to see the result in this case, like the selling price is less than the present price. So just click that one. So you see, you can be able to see the result in this case. And if you go to the present price is greater than the selling price, so the selling price is lower. So you can see all these results. The present price is higher than the selling price. So the question was supposed to be like that, but in this case, I just take it back to what the question wanted us to investigate from the data. And in this case, your result or your answer should be there is no car with higher selling price than the present price. So question number 9, this is the second last question, is the average age of cars, assuming like the current year is 2025. So we are doing the average selling price of the car assuming the current year is 2025. This is a good question. Let's see how we can do it. We'll start with selecting. I want to find my result to be into 2 decimal places. In this case, I have to use what we call the loud. Then I use average in this case, and then this is now where I'll have to write my command. I want to see the average age of cars. So what is the average age of cars in this data set, assuming that the current year is 2025? So I'll select loud. I'll select, then what will I be selecting? The year column. So the current year is 2025. I'll say 2025. I have to write a mathematical question here now. Is 2025, and then what I'll be selecting is the column year. In this case, sorry, I have to delete one. Come here, enter year. Sorry, why am I making this mistake? Should be here. so it should be here. Then don't forget what I said. After this bracket, you have to put a comma and then into 2. You want to see the result into 2 decimal places. And then after this, you want to see your result as what? As avg, what we call age. This is what we are interested to see. So the output will be displayed will be in terms of avg age. Average age is 10 years or 12 or 20. So I'll be selecting this from where I'll want to get this result from where we are calling the card data. The card data. Don't forget to put a semicolon. So this is the final query that I'm supposed to write in this case. Is that select, we'll be selecting year, but now we are assuming the current year is 2025. So it is 2025 minus the year of that car. It should give me the age of a car. It's something that is using mathematical imputation. So you have to be understanding the mathematics. So what we want to see is the average age of these cars. Is allowed 11 years. So it's 10.94. So in this case, I just assume, not even assumption from the data, you can say the cars are 11 years older. So in this case, if car is old, like it has a age limit of 10 years, I don't know the price of the car, but that's something that maybe you'll need to do research in the market. If car is having 10 years old in the market, how much should the car be going for? So now we are in the last question. We want to identify the cars that had multiple previous owners. So you find that we have a car which were owned by many owners. So we want to see which cars are those, identify cars that had multiple previous owners. So in this case, I'll start the same, is be selecting all because I want to see the cars that had the previous multiple owners. Then from where? From car data, I have to enter next in this case. Then I have to write where I have to define this condition where owner, sorry, the first one is on the capital, where owner is greater than 1 in this case. Then we'll be ordering by, in this case, order by the owner. Don't forget, I'll just copy this one to avoid typing to make it easier, where owner is order by owner and also in descending order in this case, and then a semicolon. And imagine we are done with this kind of query. So in this case, what we'll be seeing is the car owned by more than one individual, or what we are calling more than one owner. I just click F5 to see the list of those cars in this case. Supposed to be, yeah, these are the cars owned by more than one individual. And what I came to realize, if we want now to go deeper into this data, is something that you can be able to do. And what I came to realize is just one type of a car, is what you're calling it the Camry. Just this Camry car was owned by one person. It was owned by more than one person, so that is the only type of car. So that was the final objective that I was supposed to discover from this data. So that means that you are able to understand the data very well. So the other thing that you can do from here, you might be able to investigate if the car has any missing values, any missing columns, and you can prepare the data and clean it, and then you export later as a clean data, and also as a, maybe you can also do feature engineering in this case, where you just extract the important column that you want to get from this data. So the other thing that you would like to say is that the next video I'll be creating a visual dashboard. Maybe I can connect this to a Shiny or even a Power BI and then generate a dashboard using the data from PostgreSQL. You just need to connect PostgreSQL with Tableau or Power BI or even or Python. But now using this data, the other thing that I would like to do is to I have a beginner course on where now I'll be creating a machine learning model to predict the present price of any car in the market. So using this data set that I have. So that is a course that maybe what I would say you need to pay something in order for you to get access to the course. So what we'll be doing, we'll be using this same data set. We'll be importing, or we'll be creating a connection between PostgreSQL with Python Jupyter Notebook, and then we'll be doing EDA using Jupyter Notebook. We'll be doing what we call feature engineering. We'll be developing the model. We'll be doing what we call model saving, and also at the end we'll deploy our model using Streamlit in Visual Studio. So if you're interested in that course, don't forget to comment in this video, and also you can reach me. I have provided my email in the video, so make sure to reach out to me if you are interested in joining the program or the course to learn more about it. So I'm here to help you enter into the text field, enter you into data science. You'll be able to understand a lot of things. So bye.